UFC Abu Dhabi was a wild fight card. We had 12 fights total with 8 underdog wins, and that included Renier de Ridder in the main event of the evening. He is now the number 5 ranked middleweight on planet Earth, and it is in full-blown title contention. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to recap and react to every single fight from UFC Abu Dhabi. Before we talk about the fights, let's talk about the bets. Overall, the bets hit, and this was a wild fight card. We were bobbing, we were weaving. Oddly enough, the named bets didn't hit. Safety parlay missed. The underdog lock of the week hit. But if you take a look at the collective bets and look at the work that was put in, we did well. We are up money. The collective We Want Picks is up 1.52 units. And I keep saying collective because Jacob did all that work. It wasn't me. I was down 0.37 units. I was down a third of 1 unit. BetSam was down almost 1 unit. Jacob was up 3 units. And I mentioned the lock of the week missed. Jacob gave you a plus 900 parlay lock of the week. If you don't know what lock of the week is, Jacob comes in here. He gives an underdog pick every single week, calls it his lock, bets on it, rides off into the sunset. This week, he was going to go with Renier de Ridder, but he felt the pressure to give you something big. So he said, fuck it. I'm going to build a giant parlay. So he did Renier de Ridder, Bogdan, Guskov, 2 underdogs, parlayed him. That hit. And then he added Amanda Ribas. His dick would not let him leave that alone. So his dick did the talking. His dick said, hold on. Hey, let's juice it. Hey, 2 underdogs in a parlay is not enough. Let's juice this. He throws in a minus 200 favorite, and she blew it. Oddly enough, she blew the underdog lock of the week parlay, but Jacob had a phenomenal night. As I mentioned, We Want Picks is up 1.52 units on the night, an 8% ROI collectively. If all you care about is Jacob, then he made a lot more than that. You see this other number here, $1,762 live stream parlay. Almost every single fight card, Jacob live streams. He sits there for 7 hours. In fact, I have his dog next to me right now because he said, I'm going to be live streaming for 7 hours in the middle of the day. I feel bad to the dog. Can I drop her off at your house? And then he goes live for hours and hours and hours, entertaining you, watching the fights, reacting, building bets on the spot with you. And what he always does is he builds a main card parlay based entirely off the chat's picks. Not his, not mine, the chat. And the chat built out a 5-leg parlay that hit. He put $100 on it, and it hit at $1,762. These don't hit very often, and it somehow hit 2 of the last 3. That's not a premium bet. That has nothing to do with my website. All that is a really fun bet that Jacob does in what are quite literally the most fun and most interactive live streams in this space. So am I in a good mood? I absolutely am. Was I in a horrible mood earlier? Yeah. When that safety parlay busted and I'm getting literal hundreds of ats and DMs and comments on YouTube from basement-dwelling dipshit dorks that can't wait to see how the night fills out, I was in my feelings. But luckily, things really came together. Overall, a good night for the boys. If you want to check out every pick, every bet, and every tool that we have on the website, for the next 4 fight cards, it is only $10 for an entire month. That will get you UFC 319 at the sort of midpoint. You're going to get next week's fight night. You're going to get the fight night after that. You're going to get the Johnny Walker, Zhang Ming Yang fight night, 3 fight nights, a full-blown spectacular pay-per-view, $10. You get all the picks, all the bets, all the tools for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. We opened up the fight card with Martin Buday taking on Marcus Buchecha. This was a weird fight to break down because ahead of the fight, I said, listen, Martin is the established UFC fighter. Martin has been here. He's done that. He's more well-rounded. Marcus is a one-trick pony. He's got to get it to the ground. He has to get a submission. He has nothing else to offer. That's basically what we got. But what we also got was some of the sloppiest, fattest, sweatiest, most disgusting, slimy man shit we've ever seen. Martin Buday looked terrible. This guy looked awful. He's aging in reverse. He was always a little soft, but now it looks like he got gastric bypass and then added other people's skin. This dude was loose as shit. But what he was is just the better fighter. He was the better overall fighter. He defended the takedowns. He had the cleaner hands, but he slowed down. And that's what's brutal. Listen, if you physically look like a bag of melted Jello, fine. It is what it is. Some people can't help that. Go look at Roy Nelson. He was a little more firm than this, but he had the biggest beer belly you've ever seen. I also never saw him get tired in a fight. So if you physically look like shit, it is what it is. But at the very least, you should be cardio-wise in shape. You should be conditioned. Some people just look like shit. And we have the opposite. We have other people that are absolutely physical specimens that can't run a half a mile. I just will never understand getting this exhausted, this tired, when this is your only job. That's your only job. That's like me trying to run reWant Pics with like a 1 kilobit internet upload speed. And every video I upload looks like an Android text from your grandmother. It doesn't make sense. Your only job is to be in shape and go out there and get into a fist fight. That's it. That's your job. And you can't be in shape. So, Martin Buday won this fight. I wasn't surprised by that. I picked him. And at this point in the card, I picked a solid underdog. He opened up the card. He was a 3-1 dog, and he won. And I was like, oh, shit. Big Ange has got the juice today. The reality is, Marcus Buchecha wasn't a complete bum. He wasn't just a complete jiu-jitsu nerd. He did move forward. He did just bomb away. He had a couple of solid strikes that landed. But without real takedown attempts and without real comfort in your hands, you're either diving at legs from too far or you never really get anything going. So Martin Buday won this fight. I was shocked to see that he was an underdog. It made no sense to me that he was an underdog. So I was glad I picked him to win, but like, this dude's a future fucking face. Anybody with 8.5 minutes of cardio, I might be able to beat Martin Buday right now. And I ate a Big Mac for lunch. I might be able to beat Martin Buday right now. No joke, no exaggeration. I've got 10 times the wrestling that Marcus has, and I probably have better cardio than Martin. Sloppy as shit. The win was not surprising at all. I saw that coming. But like, damn, it shouldn't have been that dicey. Then we hit Steven Nguyen and Muhammad Yahya. This was a wild fight. This was also the only favorite on the undercard who won. This was a 6-fight undercard. And the only favorite who won was Steven Nguyen, and he beat the shit out of a dude that was basically a charity hire. The only reason Muhammad Yahya was on this fight card is because he lives around the corner from the arena. That's it. That is the only reason. Steven Nguyen looked decent. He was landing clean. He had some combinations. It looks like he has the power of Thor's hammer because every time he touched Muhammad Yahya, Muhammad went down. Smack, went right to the ground. And then Muhammad would get back up. They quite literally set a record for most knockdowns ever in a fight. There was a debate whether it was 6 or 7 because they ruled the first one a trip, even though it was very clearly a knockdown. It was a mess. And it was a mess for a few reasons. One, this dude got knocked down 6 times in the first round of a fight. And he got up. Credit to him. You can't teach the toughness that Muhammad Yahya has. You cannot teach that. That is the grit that dude, if we could take his toughness and give it to Amanda Ribas, that bitch wouldn't be 0-5 as Jacob's Lock of the Week. But Muhammad Yahya, insanely tough. I can't take anything away from him. Your chin is your chin. Your chin is your chin. You can work on techniques. You can try to strengthen your neck. You can be in good shape. You could work on defense, but your chin is your chin. There's nothing you can do about that. So credit to him for getting dropped as many freaking times as he did, but still answering the call and standing back up. The real issue here, if you will, is not how many times Muhammad Yahya got knocked down or why he got knocked down. It's the fact that this wasn't stopped earlier. What the hell was Jason Herzog waiting for? What was he waiting for? This dude didn't just like kind of get rocked a little bit. He fell. The last knockdown in the first round, he fell like you notched a tree. He just fell straight back. And then he answered some big ones. The only leeway I'll give Jason on that 1 of 6 knockdowns in the first round was that there was only 10 seconds left and he heard the clap. So I think he was just kind of waiting like, come on, like, let's get this 10 seconds over with. But the reality is Muhammad Yahya walked out of that cage. He might not wake up tomorrow. That dude's brain has to be swollen. The amount of times he got knocked down and his head bounced off the canvas was insane. It was absolutely insane. So Steven Nguyen got a very good win. His hands looked pretty good. He was sharp. He did get rocked bad in the beginning of the second round. He didn't come out scot-free. Second round, Muhammad Yahya, after getting just absolutely wrecked, comes out, lands clean, and Steven wins on his own ice skates, but he quickly turned that table. Muhammad Yahya, we'll probably see him at the next UFC Abu Dhabi unless he moves a couple blocks away, but Steven Nguyen got a win, minus 400 favorite, quite literally the only favorite on the undercard to get it done. And I'm not counting the Bryce Mitchell fight because I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be on the main card, but the undercard went so damn fast, they just said, let's do it now. Then we had another underdog pick from Angelo. So we're 3 fights into this card. I picked a +2 or 300 Martin Buday. I placed a +2 or 300 Billy Elekana, and Billy got it done. And I was like, holy shit, big man is back. I'm feeling myself. I'm getting ready to tell everybody that they're gay losers. Don't tell me my pick, you nerd bitch. Billy Elekana did get it done. Huge underdog. I felt good about the pick. Not really. I was actually terrified of the pick, and I even told Jacob I'm worried about the Elekana pick, but it is what it is. I thought I bet the over 1.5, and I did, thankfully, because that hit, and that was an easy hit. Nothing happened in this fight. My breakdown of this fight will be more exciting than the actual fight itself. What I will say is I'm surprised the judges got this correct. It felt like Billy won. Almost nothing happened. It was effectively a staring contest, but it was a staring contest where Billy at least threw a few more punches than Aslan did. And it's brutal because Ibo's corner is like, do something. Run after him. Swing. And I understand Billy not letting his hands go, but there's no excuse for Ibo. Ibo is a first-round fighter. You are a first-round guy. That's it. That's your whole thing. You can knock people out in the first round. That's your identity. That's your whole fighting style. That's your whole thing. You're a first-round fighter. Why the hell didn't you do any of that? So I understand Billy, who I said in breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, is a cautious striker. He manages range. He doesn't fully engage. He takes his time. So when I said all of that, I bet on the over 1.5 because I was like, I trust Billy to avoid some chaos, stay on the outside. I did not expect Ibo to do quite literally fuck all. I didn't expect him to do nothing, and he did nothing. Now he's got 2 losses in a row. Billy gets his first UFC win, and it's crazy how these tides turn. And this was setting the tone for the card because while I was very happy at this point in time, because I'm like, dude, I picked 2 big-ass underdogs that nobody else picked. Everybody told me I was crazy for Buday. Everybody told me I was crazy for Billy, and things are looking good for me. And then we hit this fight. And Tabatha Ricci finishes Amanda Ribas. This woman has never finished anybody, and she finishes Amanda Ribas. Couple of things here. One, everybody's, oh, Jacob. Jacob had a 3-leg plus 900 lock of the week. He said, I'm going big. Fuck it. We're going big. A plus 900 3-leg parlay for lock of the week. RDR, Bogdan Guskov, and Amanda Ribas. And Amanda was the first leg, and he kept telling me I'm nervous about the Amanda part. I was like, Amanda's the one that one should be fine. I was like, Ricci's not dangerous enough to finish her. Her takedowns suck too bad to take her down. What's Ricci going to do? And for the most part, that was correct. For the most part. So let's start with the first round, work our way to the second. The first round was Tabatha Ricci doing what she does. She still's got that shitty like twitch boxing where she throws almost nothing, rushes you against the cage, holds you against the cage, attempts takedowns with no skill, just trying to muscle it. So she was doing that for half the first round. Amanda Ribas tosses her ass. Just toss her. Amanda Ribas has a black belt in judo. She tosses Tabatha Ricci. Then they end up sort of back in that same exchange. The referee quite literally has to separate them because the referee's like, Tabatha, you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. I can't let you just hang out against the cage and do nothing. So the referee sets. The end of the first round comes, felt like Amanda won that round, right? She got the big throw takedown. She defended the cage bullshit. She was throwing. It felt like Amanda won that round. It also felt like, yeah, this is going to go 15 minutes. Not a doubt in my mind this is going 15 full minutes. Second round, more of the same. Tabatha Ricci with the fucking shitty boxing that she's convinced herself she's good at. Rushes Amanda to the cage. Same thing. Hanging on the legs, pretending she's going to do something. But it was a little different this time because now, while Ricci has Amanda against the cage, instead of just like huffing and puffing and trying to get her to the ground with no technique and all muscle, she's just throwing strikes to the head. She throws a big, I forget if it was a left or a right hand, but she throws a big punch to the head. It hits Amanda. You can tell it's bothering Amanda a little bit. She's messing with her eye. Then she throws an elbow. And the elbow quite literally hits Amanda directly on the eye. I don't have medical reports at this point in time. They haven't mentioned on the broadcast. I would not be surprised if she straight up broke Amanda's orbital bone with that elbow. I mean, it was bad. It was right on the eye. It was full force. It was bone to bone. It was bad. And at that point, Amanda was trying to gut it out, went to the ground, and people were like, oh, she quit. I wouldn't say she quit. She certainly balled up and was looking for the fight to get stopped, but I wouldn't say like, oh, there's too much volume. I think she literally might have a broken orbital. I could be wrong there. Couple of takeaways here. Amanda's in a tough spot now. She's in a tough spot because this wasn't a great loss, if I'm being honest with you. Like, Tabatha Ricci doesn't suck. I keep dogging her for her striking, and that's not because I think she sucks as a fighter. That's because she quite literally was one type of fighter, then starts dating some Irish ginger, and now she's a different fighter entirely. Literally a different fighter entirely. And you're going to see she got a TKO, and on paper, and you know what, a year from now, 8 months from now, people might forget how she got that TKO, and her and Callum Walsh are pretending that she got it because of her great hands. The reality is, her boxing still sucks. So this isn't a great win. Now, if Tabatha Ricci came out here, double-legged Amanda, picked her up, slammed her to the ground, on the feet she's bobbing and weaving and boxing her up and dropped her, that is a very different situation. Landing a really nice elbow against the cage in a fight that you had to get separated because you weren't doing enough work, that's a tough loss for Amanda. And yes, it's a finish win for Tabatha. That's great. So I'm not gonna discredit the win. It's more about this isn't a great loss for Amanda. And now she's in a shit spot. Losing back-to-back fights. Is it 3 in a row? Is it 2 in a row or 3 in a row? Let's take a look. She lost, obviously, earlier this year to Mackenzie Dern. It's 3 in a row. She loses to Rose Namajunas in a main event. Loses to Mackenzie Dern in a main event. Now loses to Tabatha Ricci. And the difference between those losses are Rose Namajunas is a former world champion and a very good fighter. That was a close fight. Mackenzie Dern, all-time great on the ground, probably the best grappler in the women's division, maybe even men's, depending on, probably not. Two losses that you can live with, right? She got submitted on the ground against an all-time ground girl, and she lost a back-and-forth war with a former world champion. This loss is like, she lost to a mid-tier fighter. A mid-tier fighter who isn't dangerous. She got finished by a not dangerous mid-tier fighter. I don't know what you do with Amanda. I don't think it's quite like, let's cut her 3 losses in a row because, A, she is always exciting. Win or lose, she gets after her. She's an exciting fighter to watch. And B, we got to bring her down a notch. Okay, you fought top 10 women in the world at different weight classes. Let's go down. Let's use Amanda. Let's give her some like other struggling in this weight class fighter, and let's just see. If she loses that one, she's done. She's done. If she wins that one, all right, let's see where we go. Amanda's still young. She's very exciting. Tabatha Ricci, this is a good win. For her, it's a great win. Do I think her striking is very good? No, it's all bullshit. It is a good win, though. She moved forward, she pressured, and she landed against the cage. I think it's closer to fluke than if they fought 10 times. I don't quite think she'll win more than half the time. But on paper, this is a great win. She got it done, and I can't fault her for doing what everybody wants to do, which is get a finish in a fight. I don't know what we do next with Tabatha Ricci, though, because I don't quite think this means she's one of the best women in the division, but I do absolutely think it means that she's able to hang with some of the better ones. She wasn't able to take Yan Xiaonan down. She wasn't able to get anything done there. Let's see what we can do next with Tabatha Ricci. I wouldn't say give her Mackenzie Dern. I wouldn't say give her Rose Namajunas, but maybe give her, I don't know, give her a mid-tier fighter and see what she does from there. Because let's get Tabatha Ricci a little bit of a streak. Give her an opportunity here to make something out of herself. Then we had another giant upset. So you sense the theme here. The undercard had 6 fights. 5 dogs won. 5 dogs out of 6 fights. 5. That's the kind of card we were dealing with here. And none of them were decision robberies. None of them. Every decision we got, when we got a decision, was correct, including this one. This fight was DaMon Blackshear having no sense of urgency whatsoever. He was younger, faster, stronger, more athletic, the better grappler, the better striker. He was all of those things, and he still fucked it up. And he fucked it up because he had no sense of urgency whatsoever. It was 1-1 going into the third. And you would think any high-level athlete who does this for a living, this is your only job. This is your job. This is how you pay. I don't know if he's married, has kids. I don't know any of that. But this is how you feed your family. Let's pretend he's married and has kids or wants to be. This is how you feed your family. The least that you can do for yourself, for your team, for your teammates, for your coaches, for the people depending on you, the people rooting for you, the least you can do for all of them is try. If you're just not good enough, that is what it is. Nobody is ever going to dog, well, not nobody, me, a normal, rational human being, is never going to dog a fighter who fought their ass off and just wasn't good enough. Because there's only one best in the world. And in a sport like this, that shit rotates, and it is very hard to be perfect. It is very hard to be perfect for 15 full minutes. It's very hard to be perfect 2-3 times a year after 6-8 weeks of buildup and pressure and beating the shit out of your body. So I will never get pissed at a fighter who doesn't win a fight that they fought their ass off in. I will get annoyed as hell when I see a lack of effort. And that's what we had here. DaMon Blackshear, I broke him down earlier this week and I said his last fight was surprising because he came out with a flying knee and still was hesitant the rest of that fight. But here he's fighting a 41-year-old man. So I'm like, we're good. We're good. And you know what? Early we were good because DaMon Blackshear came out with a grapple-heavy game plan. He was the better grappler. He got a great takedown. He had great control. He had great submission attempts, great positions. He ended up getting like swept in a scramble at the end of the first round. Davey ends up on top. All right, it happens. Like, Davey doesn't suck. He's just old. So like that happens. DaMon won that first round. Second round, Davey just forward pressure. Just forward pressure, bombing, forward pressure, not afraid of anything. Third round, more of Davey. At no point did DaMon say, fuck, dude, I'm about to lose this fight. His corner told him, his corner said, you have to be busier. Going into the third round, it was 1-1. And his corner was like, you need to do more. And he didn't do more. He didn't. I'll never understand that. So let's stop dogging DaMon for the lack of effort in the last 5 minutes. You're fine. You gave up the second. You took the second round off. What the fuck was up with the third? Let's talk about Davey, 41 years old. Apparently, you just need, is he 41 or am I confusing him with Muslim Salikhov? If he's not 41, he looks 58. Davey Grant won this fight with just toughness and activity. I don't think he was the better fighter. He won this fight with toughness and activity, just forward pressure, volume from the hands, forward pressure, not backing up. Throwing more than his opponent was throwing. Staying tough. Not being afraid about what came back his way. Not overthinking his next move. Just forward pressure, being tough, and throwing hands. And good for him. Good for him. You are trying to be an elite fighter. DaMon Blackshear and his coaches sit around and have dreams of, I'm going to fight for a title. That's everybody's goal. And they sit there and they think, oh, looking good. Camp was great. Oh, you're going to get this one. We're 2 wins away. And then you get a title shot. These are all the shit that people talk about. And I get it. You're working towards something. And then you got Davey, old-ass Grant, who's like, I'm just trying to fight. And that's what he did. He just fought. Didn't overthink it. Didn't overcomplicate it. Wasn't desperate for take. Just moved forward and fought. Good for Davey Grant. DaMon Blackshear is talented and he's good. The problem is, I don't know how you teach a sense of urgency. I don't know how you teach it. And on the spot right now, trying to think of a fighter that we remember as being tentative and gun-shy that turned into an aggressive strike, I can't think of one. But let me know if we can think of a fighter who has evolved from too tentative, too gun-shy, to an aggressive person that doesn't wait anymore. DaMon Blackshear was just way too comfortable letting the judges figure this shit out. And they got it. The judges got it right. And he was like, whoa, no, judges got that shit right. You didn't do anything. Then we had the absolute the one-punch finish of Muslim Salikhov and Carlos Leal. This was, I'm going to spend more time talking about it than this fight lasted. This fight was 42 seconds long. Carlos Leal came out looking jacked, threw some combination in the pocket, rushes Muslim to the cage. He's got Muslim against the cage, and Muslim just says, I don't give a fuck. Sits on a giant overhand, bombs it, it connects, one-punch knockout. Just slept him. Slept Carlos Leal. Now, I will point out, this is not the highest quality picture, but it looks like Carlos Leal's back knee's pretty cleared up. Isn't it a coincidence that the back knee is cleared up? And this dude got slept by a 41-year-old man. Isn't that a little bit of a coincidence? Now, a chin is a chin. You have it or you don't. And anybody, I don't care how good your chin is, anybody can get one punch KO'd. Especially like Muslim threw that shit from the floor. I mean, he wound up. That was just full bomb, full wind up. He threw that shit from the floor, and it connected clean. I don't know what to do with this. Is Muslim a good fighter? He was always just a powerful, tricky guy that could get wins. He's still that guy. This just says more about Carlos Leal. And I don't even, a 42-second fight. It's hard to see a 42-second fight and then draw career-determining conclusions from that. Oh, he got knocked down 42 seconds from a wild Hail Mary that connected. This guy sucks. Maybe he does suck. But if we have, we had 15 minutes with Renat. We had 5 minutes with Morono. So now we've got 20. Let's say he has 20 minutes of fighting between 3 fights. In 20 minutes of fighting, this is the only time that we looked at him and said, this guy sucks. 42 seconds of 20 minutes did he look like he sucked. So it's hard to look at this and say, this guy sucks. So is he a fade because without the steroids, he sucks? Yeah, maybe. He might actually be a fade because without the steroids, he might suck. But he ate a massive overhand that was sent from the floor. Knockouts like this fundamentally change fighters. The last fight, when I was raging about DaMon Blackshear, I said, name a fighter who was too hesitant that learned to pick up the pace later in the career. I couldn't think of one on the spot, but you might in the comments. You guys are always pretty good about that. This is a situation where we have an aggressive striker who got slept, and now he might be gun shy. Now he might be a full-blown wrestler. His next fight, I'm predicting it. His next fight's going to be some chinny bum. The UFC is going to give him a chinny bum in his next fight. And he's going to be a massive favorite. And people are going to be like, all right, let's do it. And everybody's going to bet the finish. And this guy's going to wrestle his fucking ass off and it's going to go to decision. Remember Mike Malott? Remember when Mike Malott got smoked by Neil Magny at the end? Things got a little tough. He quit. What happened next fight? Wrestler. Through and through. That's what we're going to get with Carlos Leal. Then we had Saeed Nurmagomedov taking on Bryce Mitchell in his new home of 135 pounds. And this caption says, too one-dimensional. You don't even know which one I'm talking about because they are both too one-dimensional to do meaningful things at this level. I am actually shocked after watching this fight, shocked at the success that Bryce Mitchell has been having because the dude really is just diving at legs. Really is just diving at legs. His wrestling is pretty good. His jiu-jitsu is very good. None of it is like amazing. None of it's amazing. It's just pretty good and very good. And I'm shocked he's getting the wins that he's getting. And obviously he's got some losses in there, but he lost to Ilia Topuria, Jean Silva. He got knocked out by the hardest hitter in that division or second hardest hitter in that division. I'm just shocked that Bryce has had the success he's had because it didn't look like it in this fight. Like Bryce Mitchell won this fight. It was a fair judge, a fair scorecard. It was the first round for Bryce, the third round for Bryce, the second round for Saeed. That was fair. That was fair. But Bryce Mitchell wasn't anywhere near finishing this fight. He was not close at all. Meanwhile, Nurmagomedov was close twice. One time was this nasty knee that rocks Bryce, almost finished him there. The second time was a guillotine where he somehow swept Bryce, ends up in a mounted guillotine and he's arching. He doesn't get it. But those are the two times that this fight was close to ending. Outside of that was Bryce hanging onto a head and arm with this much room to breathe. And Bryce just diving at legs. Early on, he was grabbing the body and trying to trip. Fair. Actually, no. Bryce lost the first round and won the second and third. I'm forgetting the order of the rounds. Because he got rocked at the end of the first, and in the second round, he just came out, whoop, ran right after him, guns blazing. So Bryce is tough. Bryce is gritty. Bryce is very self-aware of what he's good at and what he's not good at. Like, yeah, I need to get this to the ground immediately. So he charged the fuck forward and looked to get it to the ground immediately. So good for him. Good for him. You can trust Bryce to do the things he needs to do to get a win. But if I'm assessing his skills, skill by skill by skill, dude, I think Corey Sandhagen beats Bryce. Sean O'Malley should be able to beat Bryce. Aljo beats the fuck out of Bryce, although he's at a different weight class now. But I think anybody in the top 7 of the 135-pound division can beat Bryce. When you only have to worry about takedowns, you should be good. And Saeed wasn't able to get it done, but this dude is also one-dimensional. He's got long guy arm submissions and striking. His takedown defense is not very good. He had a decent scramble or two. His takedown defense is not very good. On the ground, he's got submission defense. And when I say one-dimensional, I'm not talking about 1996's version of one-dimensional, where literally if some of these people got taken down, they were entirely useless, had no idea what to do. I'm talking about 2025's one-dimensional. Everybody knows a little bit of everything. But both these guys are too one-dimensional to do anything. Like Vinicius Lockdog beats the fuck out of Bryce Mitchell. That shit's not even close. Lockdog beats the fuck out of Bryce Mitchell. He beats Saeed, but he beats the fuck out of Bryce Mitchell. I understand, like, he looked fine moving down to 135. He didn't look amazing. He didn't look horrible. He looked fine. I understand you on the move. You had a couple of bad losses at the high level. Dude, 135 is harder than 145. 135 is absolutely harder than 145. There are killers at this weight class that will smoke him. I don't know if Bryce gets anywhere near a title. And Saeed's just going to be a guy that, they'll keep using him every now and then, but, he's just too damn one-dimensional to do anything meaningful on his side. And it's a lot different being striking dangerous versus grappling dangerous, and people are just going to dive at his legs. Then we had Bogdan Guskov sleep Nikita Krylov. This was everybody's favorite underdog for the week. Bogdan Guskov was everybody's favorite dog this week. Tons of people picked him. Tons of people bet on him. Jacob had a bet on him. I had a bet on him. Bet Sam had a bet on him. We all had bets on Bogdan Guskov. Jacob had money line. I think Bet Sam also had money line. I had win inside the distance decision, no action, just in case he wasn't able to get a finish. We all made money on Bogdan Guskov. I didn't outright pick him. I bet on him, but I didn't pick him, which is why I emphasize here over and over and over, picks and bets are not the same thing. Obsessing over picks can be a little ridiculous. Obviously, listen to the picks, use the picks, the insight. But you know what? Martin Buday, that's a solid. I get it. I understand the analysis. Decent pick. Maybe I'll explore a little bit of a bet on him. That's what we should do with the pick. And in this case, I was like, listen, I'm going to pick Nikita because if he wants to grapple, he should be able to have some success grappling. We just watched Billy Elekana out-grapple Bogdan for 5 minutes. So if Nikita, a high-level grappler, wants to be able to do that, he can. But I'm not betting on Nikita, not after his recent knockout. I'm going to bet on Bogdan Guskov to either win by knockout, or if he doesn't, I get a full refund on that bet. And that's where we ended up. And it was an interesting fight because it wasn't very long. It wasn't a 42-second flash knockout. It was basically a whole round. But it was a lot of dancing around, a lot of Nikita feeling out the distance, throwing long kicks. Bogdan would come in, land, pop out. Nothing really meaningful happened until a beautiful straight down the middle dropped him and finished him. And Bogdan has that fight-ending power. It's incredible. He didn't panic. He didn't overextend. He didn't hunt for a knockout. He found it. And that's what was really impressive about Bogdan, is that he just found the knockout. If he came into this looking for the knockout, specifically bombing, like I'm going to knock this guy out, I'm positive, it might have been a different fight, because when you're overcommitting and you're planting and you're throwing like that, that's when people are dropping under and shooting on you and taking you down. We didn't get that. We got a Bogdan that was composed, a Bogdan that was engaging, a Bogdan that was able to find a knockout just in a clean exchange. So Bogdan looked really good. Nikita Krylov, 2 bad knockouts in a row. I think he's 33 years old. He's not very old on paper, but in fight years, he's fucking old, dude. He's been to war with a lot of people. They're not quite going to cut him here, but there's not a lot of places for him to go at this point. 2 bad knockouts, both like reasonable ones. Bogdan's got incredible power. Dominic Reyes before that 4-fight skid was somebody, and now he seems to be somebody again. I don't know what we're going to do with Nikita Krylov. The UFC is probably going to use him to build up somebody. So I don't know what 205-pounder the UFC is looking to build up, but that's what they'll use Bogdan for, to build up some random 205-pounder. Then we have this scrappy little bastard, Asu Almabayev. Listen, I bet on Asu. I picked Asu to win. I was surprised that he was an underdog. And then you look at the line, and it made even less sense. Asu opened as a minus 400 favorite and then went all the way to an underdog. He went from a 4-1 favorite to an underdog. Now, he wasn't a tremendous underdog. He was just an underdog. He was minus 103, minus 105. So nothing insane, not like the Billy Elekana dog. or the Martin Buday dog, but he was still an underdog. And I was surprised because I said, he can wrestle. He can strike. He's had the full fight camp. And I understand Jose Ochoa has some fight-ending power, but he knocked out the chinniest dude in the division. He knocked out Cody Durden. Cody Durden's chinny as fuck. He didn't knock out anybody with an iron jaw. He knocked out Cody Durden. And he was out-wrestled by Loner Kavanaugh. So Asu can come in here and wrestle. That's exactly what we got. Asu came in here and he wrestled. Now, that doesn't mean that Jose Ochoa had no success. Jose had a decent armbar attempt, a decent triangle attempt. Jose had his own takedown because Asu just loves to spin around for no damn reason whatsoever. Why the hell are you spinning? He literally spun around and got taken down very easily because his back was to his opponent. But Asu Almabayev is scrappy. He's scrappy. He's not very big. He is small even for this weight class, but he's scrappy. He's shooting takedowns. He's staying busy. He's the type of guy that looks winded, but he's still fighting at an intense speed and setting a nice pace. So I'm all for Asu Almabayev getting this win. It was an appropriate decision. I'm good with it. Asu Almabayev was able to get this done. I felt good about it. My bet cashed. Jose Ochoa, still a decent fighter, but we had an 8-1 guy taking on a 22-2 guy. There's a giant disparity there between their records. And now Jose has 2 good losses in the UFC, right? Loner Kavanaugh is very good. Asu Almabayev is very good. So he's got 2 losses, both good. But this is the type of situation we got to be careful with Jose. Let's try to build him back up, because if we rush him back into one of these fights with one of these other young, sick prospects, all of a sudden we might burn him. Asu Almabayev got the win. I cashed my bet. I'm good with this. It was a little closer than I would have liked. Asu is a guy that we got to keep a close eye on going forward. It's not somebody that we can just be like, yeah, I know for a fact. Like, he's going to fight for your money, but why was he spinning? He was quite literally falling off. He was on his back. He was working submissions, quite literally falling over the top. He ended up in a couple random submissions. He worked his way out. So Asu is a guy that I have bet on in the past. I will probably bet on in the future, but every fight I need to look at with tunnel vision independently, like, what kind of fight do we have here? What is Asu going to engage in or not engage in? Because the dude does get a little too wild for his own good. Then we had a great back and forth fight between Shara Bullet and Marc-Andre Barriault. Marc-Andre came out here with a pretty expected game plan. Like, this guy's a dangerous fucking striker. Let me close the distance as quickly as possible, get him in the cage, see if I can get him to the ground. Problem is, while Shara can be taken down, and officially on the record, Marc-Andre went 2 for 6 in takedown attempts, Shara moves, dude. Shara gets going. He hits his ground, his ass is up, his hips are out, he's moving, he's throwing. When you close the distance, he's throwing. Shara's a guy that does have sneaky power. He has some obvious power, but he's got sneaky power. The official stats, I'm looking at them right now. Watching the fight and then looking at the official stats feels like 2, I don't want to say different stories, because I thought Shara won the fight and the stats also show that, but it didn't feel that wide. If you watched the fight on mute, you would have assumed that there was a 29-28, a close-ish fight, but that's not what we had. It was 30-27 across the board, and the stats tell that story. Marc-Andre had 2 takedowns. He did have 4 minutes of control time, but that includes cage control. Shara landed 103 significant strikes to 60. Didn't quite double it, but was getting there. And actually, sorry, that was total strikes. Significant strikes was 93 to 39. He more than doubled the significant strikes. The total strikes, he almost doubled. So Shara Bullet was very busy. Blood on both sides of this fight because they both got after it. Shara does what he does. He bounces like crazy, lots of spinning. And what I love about Shara is he doesn't panic when people wrestle. Marc-Andre was coming after him, shoving him against the cage, holding on to him, dragging him, closing the distance. And Shara doesn't panic. He doesn't get frustrated. He works his way out, hits. Works his way out, hits. And he's just always doing something. The only way a wrestler will have any real success against Shara Bullet is if you are a nasty shoot at the legs wrestler. A true shoot at the legs wrestler, because the trips, the scrambles against the cage aren't working for people. Shara's got great hips. He will hurt you in those exchanges, and as soon as his ass hits the ground, he's scooting. But if you shoot a clean double in the middle of the octagon and take him down, very different situation. So Marc-Andre put up a good performance. He showed up. He moved forward. He threw hands. He did everything he could within his skill set to win this fight. But Chara's just too good of a striker, too slick, too fast, hits too hard, too aggressive. Chara almost had a finish at the end of the third round. This is a great fight. It was a ton of fight. And I feel like Chara's hopefully becoming who we thought he was going to be. When he came into the UFC, this guy was fucking missing teeth, missing an eye. He was like a psychopath. His videos, as Jacob said, I thought this guy was AI. His videos were insane. And then he came into the UFC, kind of a back and forth with Bruno Silva, and he was like a little hot and cold. Losing to MVP, that's a quality loss. That dude's got that ridiculous, unorthodox style that's very hard for people to deal with. But he's sort of hitting his own rhythm now. He looked good in this fight. He looked good in the Petrosian fight. I'm slowly becoming a big-time Chara Bullet fan. I obviously picked him here. He was one of the only confident favorites that got it done. The only favorite parlay at this point in the card that anybody had that is still alive is Chara Bullet and Stephen Nguyen, and parlaying a dude coming off a loss in his UFC debut isn't the easiest thing to do. You actually would be parlaying two guys coming off losses, which is not always the wisest choice, and that was a juiced-ass parlay because Chara Bullet was minus 600 and Stephen Nguyen was minus 450 coming into this fight. So you would have parlayed the two of them and still gotten minus 250 odds. But Chara Bullet got it done. It was a lot closer than what I thought those scorecards were. Fun back and forth scrap. No love lost for Marc-Andre. When I was dogging DaMon Blackshear, what was I saying? The guy didn't do shit. It was 1-1 going into the third. He did nothing to try to put himself in a position to win that fight. Perfectly content with the scaring contest and the scorecards. So I was annoyed. Get a little pissed at the guy. You get Marc-Andre, though, just not the better fighter. And he was down on all the judges' scorecards. Every round. And he didn't stop fighting. This dude did as much as he possibly could within his skill set. So you can't watch a Marc-Andre and then leave that fight and be like, bum. Absolutely not. That dude fought his ass off. He was not the better fighter, and that's going to happen to a lot of people. But if you fight your ass off, you give it your all, at least you can have some peace. Like, yeah, I lost. It is what it is. Where DaMon Blackshear is going to have no peace tonight. That dude's just going to be thinking about this fight, watching it. God, I should have. There's no shoulda, coulda, woulda with Marc-Andre. He got after it. Fun fight, exciting fight. Really got the juice flowing back into this fight card. Then we had Petr Yan with the reminder that there are levels to this. And I'm not saying that to be rude or to disparage what Marcus McGhee was able to do in there. I'm saying that as there are quite literally levels to this. We have the top 5 in the world, the top 15 in the world, and everybody else. And Petr Yan is a guy that will be sitting in the top 5 in the world for a very, very long time. Marcus McGhee looked good. Marcus McGhee had success. He took an entire round on all 3 judges' scorecards here. And it's a little frustrating and a little exciting. It's exciting because the plus 3.5 bet is a bet that we talked about all week. Jacob mentioned on stream. If you watch my best bets video every week, I sat there and I said I have not placed this plus 3.5, but I wish I did. I probably will. I'm not sure. Bet Sam went ahead and placed it. Bet Sam placed the bet. So it's amazing. Bet Sam cashed that bet. Jacob told you guys to do it. I told you guys to do it. It's disappointing because I apparently, when I got my mastectomy a few years ago, they took off my nuts as well. They didn't just make it so I can't have babies. They removed my actual testicles because I didn't have the balls to place that bet. And it's a little disappointing. The woulda, coulda, shoulda game that you play with yourself after you literally say, I'm going to place this bet. This is a good bet. Then you just don't quite pull the trigger on it. But the reality is this was a good fight. And I don't think you take anything away from Marcus McGhee here. He came out here. He fought one of the best guys on the planet, an all-timer, a former world champion. He went toe-to-toe with him, and he was just this far away. Petr Yan was this much faster. Petr Yan was this much cleaner. Petr Yan was this much, I don't want to say more powerful, but because of the speed and the accuracy, did this much more damage. He had a couple of trips. Like, Petr Yan was just this much better in almost every single exchange. So we didn't have a blowout. It was 2-1. It wasn't like blowout one way, blowout the other way. It was a closely contested, competitive rounds. For the most part, Petr was a little bit better. But Marcus McGhee had some big moments. He landed with some power. He's a durable guy. He moves forward. He throws hard. He sets a nice pace. Marcus McGhee one day is going to be very, very good. He is very good now, but we'll add that extra very in another year or two with a little bit more experience. Petr Yan is one of the most clean technical strikers we've seen in this division. In a sport that's turning into outside of the pocket technical fighters and nonstop wrestlers, we got Petr Yan carrying the flag for people willing to bang inside the pocket that have wrestling but don't go all in on it. Petr Yan is phenomenal. This is a reminder of how good he is, and also opening the door and opening some eyes for what Marcus McGhee might be able to do here in the future. As I mentioned, Petr Yan was this much better, but I mean, I imagine Marcus is this much bigger. What a fucking way to end that fight breakdown. Then we had an absolute dogfight in the main event. This was an awesome back and forth fight where the consensus seemed to be that it came down to the 5th round. The announcers, the people in Jacob's live chat, myself, it felt like it was 2-2 going into the 5th. Not a ton happened in the 5th. There was some empty pressure from Renier, a little bit of cage control. Not a ton happened. But that fight was an absolute war. Here's the reality of this fight. Renier de Ridder is basically Dricus du Plessis. He is just a giant, kind of sloppy dude that relies on size and strength and physicality to get fights done. He's got a good enough gas tank to push. He is physically tremendous. He is quite literally the biggest middleweight I've ever seen. He's bigger than Alex Pereira is, and it's not even close. He's thicker and taller. I don't know how Renier de Ridder makes 185 pounds. I have no idea. He would be big at light heavyweight. And the size seemed to be a real issue for Robert Whittaker because Renier would come in, throw those big flying knees right up the middle, and you would see them slam into Robert, and Robert would be like, ooh. And he ate a few, and then he slowed down, and then he slowed down. Then he started to time the knee, lands a huge overhand right that drops de Ridder, almost finishes de Ridder, but he's somehow able to survive. And it was an awesome back and forth fight. You saw the legend status of Robert Whittaker. You saw how good his technique could be. You saw the defense. You saw the guts. You saw the heart. I would not be surprised if we found out that he had a couple of broken ribs along the way. Robert Ritter's an absolute warrior. And I said Robert Ritter, I meant Robert Whittaker. An absolute warrior. I don't think this loss takes anything away from him. Okay, he's not top 5 in the world anymore. Maybe he's the number 6 guy. And you know what? Maybe Renier goes up and wins the belt. Renier versus Dricus would be one of the sloppiest, most fun back and forth fights I've ever seen in my life. Because these two are just big thugs that just go at it with no real technique whatsoever. And I know that sounds absurd because Renier actually has decent kickboxing and phenomenal jiu-jitsu, but you get my point. He relies on size and physicality. I don't know how he had a full 25 minutes of cardio, but he did. He seemed to be the fresher fighter. This was an awesome back and forth fight. I picked Renier. I didn't quite bet on him because I wanted to root for Robert. But once Jacob bet on him and our night came down to this son of a bitch, I was like, I guess I'm rooting for Renier. And when they announced him, I was like, all right. Great fight. RDR really showed up and made a name for himself. And it's this point in time when everybody's talking about UFC sucks now. UFC's cooked. We have no superstars. This event sucks. That event sucks. Everything sucks. Because being a negative Nancy crybaby gets you more views and more attention online than just sitting here and saying this is the sport that we love and these fights are fun. And Renier is a guy that shows up in the middle of everybody saying that UFC sucks now. We have no superstars. And he's putting on a couple of awesome performances. He had 3 finishes coming into this fight. Then an absolute 25-minute war. And now all of a sudden, this is a very interesting division. UFC 319 is a very interesting fight card. We get Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis, an awesome matchup that I am unbelievably excited for. People are bitching about that fight card. They just announced the co-main event. And it's a good co-main event because you have Lerone Murphy on a wild win streak. And then you have Aaron Pico coming over from Bellator. A lot of people don't know who he is, but that kid is spectacular. Good co-main event. But even if you stripped out that entire fight card, that main event alone is awesome. And now what we have is another fight after that. Because I would immediately say RDR gets the next title shot. This dude just showed up, beat an all-timer in an absolute war, a dogfight. He had people chanting his name. And what you can do for yourself in 1 year's time putting on exciting fights, is amazing. This sport is amazing. I absolutely love it. Robert Whittaker, I look forward to seeing him again. He's not who he was, but he's not washed. He's not the best middleweight on planet Earth, but he's not a bum. Let's get Robert Whittaker versus, give us someone fun. I don't know who. I can't think of a name on the spot, but give Robert Whittaker versus somebody fun. He's already fought basically everybody, but let's give him somebody fun, some good back and forth, some excitement, and let's see what we get. And RDR, I think they should give him a title shot. In 2 weeks' time, the middleweight belt will be defended or changed hands, and then let's get RDR in there. Let's build up another huge fight. Great fight. Overall, a wild fight card. If you lost some money, you're obviously looking at it a little jaded and you're angry at your TV. If you made some money, you absolutely love it. And if you were somewhere in between like I was, where the collective We Want Picks made money, I lost $30. I loved it. Great fight night. Hopefully, you had a great experience as well, and I can make your weekend a little better by sending you $50. The only thing you need to do to get that $50 is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners using our affiliate links, and I'll send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. You use the link to sign up. You make a deposit, I'll get a one-time commission. I'll slice it off, give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. Guys, thanks for the watch. I appreciate it. I love these midday fight cards. It's 5:22 p.m. I'm going to hit end on this. I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to upload it, and I'm going to start drinking. Tomorrow morning, the UFC Vegas 108 breakdown is ready to go. Thanks for everything, guys. I appreciate every last one of you.